Hello, hi, sorry. I'm folding laundry. It's taking a little longer than I thought. Just another minute. Okay, wait, my mic is still in the weird spot. Hello, for real. Sorry about that. That'll teach me to do chores leading up to a stream. Hope everybody has been enjoying the temporary new hold-on-screen music. It's probably just temporary. I was just really excited that I finally found this version of this song, so I've kind of just been grooving out to it for a while. So, Control. That is the plan for today. Hope everyone is at least partially excited as I am. I am always looking forward to playing more Control because this game fucking rules. A lot of games that I've been playing recently have ruled. I'm glad that I've kind of been hitting the grand slams with game choices recently. I mean, not to toot my own horn or anything. Oh god, I'm gonna have to resize the window again. I got my eyes on a winner, I got a hot hand. Place your bets now, ladies and gentlemen. I keep seeing new clips of gameplay from Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. Is the new Jet Set Radio? Basically, it's just new Jet Set Radio. Very much looking forward to that. Not gonna find the game today, huh? Okay. No, that's fine. Pow! And then I have to resize it. Fit. Zoop. There we go. So, as is per usual, I have very much forgotten what I was doing last time I played Control. I think I had just finished off the last of the various side missions that I had available. I know there's a lot of places that I have access to explore and stuff. Thanks to... Hey, Irish. Let's see. Jukebox. Oh, right. Got all of the, all these missions to go hunt down specific dudes. Yeah, nah. Let's do plot. So we need to go to containment. Need to find the prime candidate program, which I assume is right here. Okay. Yeah, we've got all of the runaways, and we've got the jukebox. And other than that, it's plot. So rather than starting off the stream by just running around hoping to run into random objective enemies, let's do plot. Aha! Oh. Uh-huh. Oh, shit. Ooh. Aha! Whoops. Alright. That went well. Oh, there's an orb up here. Whoop. Where'd the orb go? Ow. It just left, I guess. Okay. Pretty sure we've already explored this particular area. Aha! I found the Prime Candidate program, thanks to a big glowy orb. Oh. Sorry, sir. Look at that dog! Wow. What? Mirror supplement. Blank. She was admitted... Victoria Mirror blank. She was admitted to a mental ward for emotional instability soon after relocating to Illinois with her family in 1914. The item only appears on record again in 2006 when the Bureau investigated a sudden rise in disappearances in blank, Illinois. Agents found the item hanging in the local library. They contained it quickly, though missing people of the town were never recovered. Supplementary. 1915, August 18th. We certify that the case of Mrs. Blank has shown her to be a lunatic under the reasons of hysteria, bad company, and imaginary female trouble. 1915. Her fixation with the family looking glass is noteworthy, though not an uncommon matter when considering the female disposition. Mrs. Carver is a fit subject for the lunatic asylum and will remain in its confines until her affliction has passed. Signed, Dr. Blank. Hello, Ashok and Asp. Nice. What? Damn it. P7, eh? Suspicious. Prime candidates. Here we go. What you got for us, Trench?
stepped down, I doubled every effort to find new prime candidates. There was no one. No one but me. That wasn't good enough. I pushed hard. I never wanted the Bureau to end up in that situation again. The Bureau needs a director. Always. When my time reaches an end, I want more options on the table. P1 through P5 were all false leads, dead ends, and disappointments. Then P6, Dylan Faden. He fell into our arms. No parents, they're gone, casualties of an AWE. The boy has exceptional talent. The oldest house will be his home. We'll build him from the ground up. He'll be trained and taken care of. Darling can be in charge of this project. I can't. I'll stay away. I will not fail the boy like I failed my own family. My daughter and my wife. We weren't careful enough back then. Something came home with me. I took work home. My Susanna got sick. When I realized my mistake, I wanted to bring her here for Darling to do what he could. Kate flat out refused. Civilian doctors treated our daughter, but they didn't have a clue. She died. Kate left me. Same old story. That was a long time ago. The Bureau is all I have now. And the prime candidates are our future. There are two, P6 and P7. We're spoiled for choice.
Uh-huh. Well. Sorry. Shit, dude. I mean, occupational hazard, I guess. But he did specify we weren't careful enough back then, so kind of falls in line with how a lot of things surrounding the Bureau tend to go. Learning from failure seems to be the situation a lot of the time. Now you see why Trench was so obsessed with containment. I mean, I really didn't doubt that containment was a bad idea, or I didn't doubt that it was a good idea. It certainly seems like the kind of thing that Trench should have been into, especially if containment wasn't a big deal in the past, but certainly a good reason to really double down on the situation. Damn it. What? Yeah, Northmore was absolutely more into the application of objects of power. And, you know, utilizing them may have been what resulted in the NSC situation. Especially if, I remember someone mentioning last time, that Northmore's capability with the floppy disk, like, his throw range was not super impressive. So if that was the case... Damn it. So if it was the case that his para-utilitarian capabilities were unimpressive at their base level, then something must have happened with an object of power. And considering that his whole thing was using them, that adds up. I had another thing that I was going to talk about that I have now forgotten. Lost my train of thought. Damn it. Whoa, okay, hold up. Oh god, not one of you. God damn it, can't see! Yeah, god damn it. He was impressive by their standards until Jesse showed up. Okay. Don't forget your shield. I know, but I was super out of energy because I was trying really hard to keep throwing at the shield dude so that he wouldn't be able to throw anything at me. But I was just so super surrounded by the explodey dudes. Whoop. I'm still racking my brain trying to... Oh, right. I'm really curious what P7 was about, because it's like, oh man, yeah, like, Dylan had a lot of potential, he's super strong, like, his para-utilitarian capabilities are nuts. But is that because of Polaris, or is that because of something else? Is, like, there some kind of natural, like, some kind of natural resonance shenanigans that the Faden siblings have going on? And also, P7. If P7 is Jesse, like, what were they doing to keep Jesse out of the loop after she had left the Bureau? Or had, like, did she ever leave the Bureau? I would imagine that she would have. But if P7 is Jesse, like, how does that work? How did that happen? Considering everything we know so far. Because Jesse talks a lot about, like, stuff that she has done. Dylan talks about... It raises a lot of questions that I feel will probably get answered in some way, shape, or form, but it's certainly a big deal. Ah, come back here. What? Oh, it just left. I'm bored now, bye. You always forgot the shield. Yeah. The problem with the shield is that the shield requires energy. And I'm kind of constantly using all of my energy on throw. Or on dashing. Aha! Hidden document. Bright Falls? Oh! Bright Falls! Oh boy! Shield is kinda meh, best defense is a million rocks and faces. Yeah. Alice Wake, Mr. Wake's wife, was found during a bureau investigation. She was interviewed and evaluated. She showed signs of severe mental trauma in the form of blank memory loss. She was later directed to treatment. It was concluded that she had been trapped inside the threshold during its manifestation. Okay, so the threshold was the cabin. But the inverted cabin. Well, I mean, the cabin, but the cabin in Alan Wake was weird. Notable individuals still missing after the Bright Falls event are FBI Special Agent Robert Nightingale and Dr. Emil Hartman. Refer to the Creator's Dilemma and the file regarding the Cauldron Lake Lodge. Nightingale. Who was Nightingale again? Robert Nightingale. Because I know Dr. Hartman was the dude that was running the lodge that was trying to harness the power of the Cauldron Lake shenanigans through the people that were afflicted by it, like the old rock star dudes. They were a lot of fun. Bureau researchers believe this event was the result of a forceful perception of subjective reality stemming from Mr. Wake overlapping our own. Wake has been flagged as a potential para-utilitarian. See Prime Candidate Program file for details. I think he was just an FBI guy. Maybe. Oh! Nightingale was the asshole that, was, like, hunting down Wake. Like, I think Nightingale was the one that just started shooting him, just tried to fucking shoot Wake in the face at the trailer park. And also, that would mean he was also the guy that attacked Wake at the radio station. Yeah, okay. I'm pretty sure that's Nightingale. So yeah, Mr. Wake, Alan, his whole thing was the script, and so... Huh. If Alan Wake created the script... So what was the origin of the script, then, in the sense of, like, objects of power versus para-utilitarians versus thresholds and everything like that? They're happy to announce to the player that he's dead. I mean, yeah, Dr. Hartman was also a huge asshole, but the fact that they're missing and not deceased could mean that some other bullshit happens. Or happened, like, behind the scenes. Who knows? But they're, you know, it'd be cool if they're dead. They were assholes. So, if the manuscript is an object of power, Wake writing the manuscript caused the threshold to happen, which was the Cauldron Lake stuff. Oh man. Real chicken and an egg situation going on. Yeah. Alright. In 2011, a book by Clay Stewart titled The Alan Wake Files was published by Roundabout Press, New York and Olympia. Agents interviewed Clay Stewart and suspected minor para-utilitarian sensitivity. He was placed under indefinite surveillance. A monitoring station was established at Cauldron Lake to alert the Bureau of any future activity. Clay Stewart. Was Clay Stewart another dude in the original? Right, the manuscript was like, and then Nightingale got fucked up, and then Nightingale got fucked up. Yep, that tracks. They're just cheating on making me invested now by like, oh, check out all this cool bullshit that happened with Alan Wake, and I'm like, hell yeah, Alan Wake! Still upset that American Wasteland was not stellar. Because, like, the combat was the worst part of the Alan Wake games, and American Wasteland was all about the combat. I don't care about alerts. Get out of here. Just trying to make sure I didn't miss any collectibles. There's so much murmuring in here. C's accelerator. Oh wait, I don't use C's that often. Never mind. I was like, oh man, a pink mod. That's probably great. And it probably is, but I don't use that. So. Alright. So that opens up that. Oh no.
I can see you're upset, Meg. Why don't you tell Uncle Mr. Bones what's wrong?
I did bad on my clairvoyance test.
You can't ace every test, Meg. You see, everyone has different brains. Some brains can talk to each other. We call this ESP.
ESP?
Some brains can lift objects like a baseball. Talk about a fly ball, eh, Meg?
God.
So who cares if you fail your clairvoyance test? Maybe your brain can throw baseballs, or talk to dead people, or make friends blind. Once we know what your brains can do, we'll know what job to give you. And if your brains are just right, you'll get to sit in the big chair.
Nice. Oh, it's just a normal sized chair.
I don't want the big chair.
What if I don't want the big chair?
Everyone wants the big chair, Meg!
That's why we're all here. Use those brains to listen for once, or the only chair you'll get in is the one with straps.
Thanks, Mr. Bones. Despite that being the Threshold Kid, like, some of the most laughs I've got out of the Threshold Kids, as always, they do a real good job of balancing it out by making me very uncomfortable. Thanks, Remedy.
Things had gone differently and ordinary for us. But wishing won't change things.
Ordinary.
Finding the projector
So
will.
much coming together in this one case. A new object of power, something we have not seen before. I mean, coming from me, that's saying something. And the boy, Dylan Faden, prime candidate 6, and the sister as well. Once we catch up with her, but the boy, that's so much potential. We're talking Northmore level readings here, and I don't want to invoke his name. It's completely different circumstances here.
Uh,
There was an incident. Yes.
you doing okay, darling?
We lost a valuable member of our team, yes. Excessive force. Dylan has so much. But he's just a kid. I'll take the blame. He needs some slack. I mean, boys will be boys.
Boys will just do a little murder. That's okay.
Exceptional and under a lot of stress. Robert's got killed. It's an unfortunate accident, that's all. Marshall needs to realize this. We will make this work. We'll make this work.
Huh. Oh, I missed a document in the other room. Alright, let's go back to that. Ah, there it is. Bright Falls summary. Yes. No unique containment procedures required while bound. What? Wait, no. I was like, wait. I thought the TV was something else. It is. My mouse was just in a weird spot. Okay, Bright Falls summary. An unconfirmed threshold manifestation at Cauldron Lake, Washington, resulted in a fictional story written by author Alan Wake creating an AWE in which reality was altered to match that of the story, though only locally and for a limited time. Mr. Kirkland, head of investigations, was alerted on September 13th, 2010 by ex-Bureau agent Frank Breaker. That sounds familiar. See blank, that an AWE event was taking place in Bright Falls, Washington. Refer to the events investigated in 1970, 1976, 1978. Ooh. Oh, wait, was the 70s the original... Was the 70s when the old lady bullshit happened? I wish I remembered the details of Alan Wake better. Breaker had received a call from Barry Wheeler, Alan Wake's literary agent. Hey, Barry. On behalf of Breaker's daughter, Sarah Breaker. Okay, yes. Yes, okay. Sheriff Breaker. She was cool. Who is the current sheriff of Bright Falls. Okay. A Bureau field team arrived at the site 2 days later only to confirm that the event was over. Interviews were conducted, refer to the 1970 blank, Thomas Zane, 1976, 1978, Odin Anderson, Tor Anderson. Okay. Yes. Zane was the original writer that showed up and a bunch of bullshit happened in Bright Falls. Zane... Was the old lady Zane's wife? Or the old... Oh, Zane was the... Zane was the scuba diver. Yeah, okay. And then 78, Odin and Tor were the rocker brothers that some wild bullshit happened to and around, and that's why they ended up in Hartman's asylum. Alan Wake was believed to blank instigator. Huh. Eyewitness reports highlight an old light switch, possible object of power, that blank missing. Wake was not found at the scene. Reports claim he dived into the lake, but no body was recovered in the search. Right, so when he dove into the lake, that's when he went to the cabin on the other side to rescue his wife, but then he got trapped on the other side. And he got trapped in the TV world? Question mark? He ended up on a show. Easiest way to explain it is he ended up in the TV world. Alright. Thank you for pointing that out. I'm very glad that I did not miss that. Okay. Bunch of documents in here. Yeah, observation of Dylan's cell, which is currently exploded. Dylan, Faden transcript. Transcript of conversation for review by Dr. Darling. Subject was alone during this outburst. Okay. You again. I told you to leave me alone. Why are you showing me this? I can't do anything. Can't you see where I am? Why don't you help me get the fuck out of here? You always show me things what I can't do anything about. Stop showing me her. I don't care anymore, and I don't care about you. You both left me here to rot. Fuck off, you bitch. I will dig my own brains out if it means getting rid of you. I don't want you here. Get the fucking message. Subject repeated the phrase, fuck off, numerous times before being sedated at 17:53. Is that Dylan talking to Polaris? Which would explain why he was so upset. Because he's like, Polaris is just like, hey, Jesse is, here's what Jesse's up to. We're gonna get you two together, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna help. It's gonna be great. Compiled by Redacted by order of Redacted. Interesting. Agent killed during blank involving blank, codename P6. Blunt force injuries to the head of the head and neck, excessive trauma in the abdominal region, lacerations and concussions of the upper and lower torso, fracture of the spinal cord, fracture through the ribs, blunt force injuries, abrasions, dislocation. Yeah. After examination, it was determined that the cause of death was internal bleeding that occurred when the blank was contorted through his blank. Oh boy! I don't immediately recall anyone named Roberts, but he really got the short end of the stick on working with Dylan. P7.
Is this what Dylan wanted me to see?
Yep,
Doesn't matter.
it's me!
We need to find that projector.
Last scene. Coffee soap! I can hear a lady voice in the whispering now, which I do not recall being a thing before. Oh, hell yeah. Here's how you know Jesse's a good person. We've got photographic evidence that they pet a dog once. File these. Don't touch. Working as a janitor. Shoplifting. Oh shit, maybe she's not a good person after all. Destination. Who's she meeting with? Relax.
All the times I felt paranoid, I was right. The Bureau could have given me the answers, but they just stood by and watched me.
Through is a heck of a word. Yeah, it's not... really not great thinking about what happened to poor old Roberts. Candidate P7. New outfit. Jesse Faden, movement tracking. Eastward movement, cause for concern. Oh, yep. Left Wyoming and then made her way over to New York City in search of the Bureau. Guided by Polaris, I assume.
We used to play there all the time. Me and Dylan, and other kids as well. We loved it. This time, I remember, was different. We found a way in, deeper into it, like it had shifted. We went inside, and that's where we found the slide projector.
A dump is a place for lost things. Things that have been thrown away. Did you ever feel that way when you were growing up, Jessie?
What? No. Yes, but that has nothing to do with...
Was there a slide projector at your home when you were small?
No.
Those were before your time, I suppose. But your family did look at photos together, maybe. In one form or the other?
Maybe.
When was this? Can you remember? At parties? Barbecues? How did it make you feel? Did your parents ever show pictures that embarrassed you? Was alcohol ever involved at these parties? Did your parents drink? Did that make you uncomfortable?
No. That's just stupid. Come on. That has nothing to do with this. Nothing.
The slide projector, let me ask you this. As a child, did you ever fantasize about worlds inside pictures? Inside a painting? You know, stepping into a painting, into a hidden world, escaping and finding adventure there, away from your parents.
I don't think so. I don't remember. Maybe. I don't know.
God, there's so much to think about with that discussion. Hang on, is there another file here? Okay, no. Okay, so the psychiatrist there is trying to imply that the slide projector was some kind, like, maybe a hallucination or some kind of metaphor that Jesse was projecting as, like, some, like, Jesse was projecting the slide projector. And so it's like, oh, well, it's metaphorical. It's all in your head. The fact that the Bureau has that recording, I mean, obviously they were spying on Jesse the whole time, but what exactly was the psychiatrist in with the Bureau? And if they were, it could be a case of they're trying to make Jesse just, like, not worry about the slide projector. It's like, oh, don't worry about the slide projector. Like, it's all in your head. It was an illusion. You're just faking it. It's some kind of mental thing about, like, dealing with your parents and stuff like that. Or it could be the psychiatrist working for the Bureau being, like, trying to figure out what caused Jesse to create the slide projector. Like, if Alan Wake could create the manuscript, like, okay, if Alan Wake did create the manuscript, and it was Alan Wake's potential para-utilitarian capabilities that caused the Bright Falls incident, then that would imply that Jesse is also capable of creating something like the slide projector as a means of, like, oh, she just naturally has para-utilitarian capabilities, and she was abused by her parents, and so she, like, subconsciously created the slide projector as a means of escaping her family, and then some bullshit happened. Yeah, it's like, it's either gaslighting or it's digging for info. There's a lot to think about. A lot of potential. Da-da-da. Slide projectors were a bit before your time. Reminds me of how weird it feels to imply that Jesse grew up during the real world 1990s. Yeah, like, Jesse is... yeah, this game came out around late last year. So, if this game is taking place during modern day, which is last year, then and Jessie is a young adult. She's a young person, and Jessie would be around our age.
What happened in Ordinary here? That's the place to start looking.
What up, bitch? Current date in the game is no more than a couple of days after October 29th, judging by the movement record. Right. I have a friend. Work chat dead dog. Oh. I see your creepy teeth delivery, sir. I see your creepy teeth delivery and raise you a dead dog. Yeah, like a straight up deceased dog. Had a collar on it and everything. It had been rotting in that box since they packed it up. Go ahead and imagine how that smelled, so don't go whining to me. I wish I got to watch a parade of human teeth. Cool. Great. But this isn't a dead letters kind of thing, so was that, like, oh, here's some evidence as investigation from the incident. Ugh. I don't like it. I think that elevator takes me where I need to go, so let's go this way instead. Aha! Willow AWE shipping manifest. A hollow sphere, stone-like material, vitrified soil, blank, various pieces of various sizes and colors, animal carcass, possibly canine, rusted metal bucket, leather wallet, aged shotgun cartridge. All materials go to the investigation sector for further analysis. Gross. There's some breakable walls in the upcoming area. Alright.
Dylan and I were both prime candidates. Experiments.
Wiki says she was born in 91, so she's 29? Or 28 as of this game. Or a bit older or younger, depending on when her birthday is. I can't see shit! This red! We good? God. Cleanse this control point. Free me from the red. Oh, thank goodness. New York City subway? Would that make...
We're going back home. Of course we are. It started there, and it's never gone away.
Aha! Level 6 door. Aha! Oh, wait. Wait. Does this hurt me, or does it not? Okay, it doesn't. She started freaking out. But I have the pills. Is that it? Just some loot. Yeah, they snuck some stuff into the subway. Oh. Hidden location discovered. Typewritten page supplement. Page was discovered in an instance of the Ocean View Motel and Casino that was linked to the investigation sector. The page has been pushed into the motel's corridor from under the door with the symbol of a spiral. Blank. Appendix. Text transcribed from items. For 10 years I've tried to write my escape, only sinking deeper. Dead wake. I used to know where the fiction ends and reality begins. Here they're all the same. It's a hideous trap. My every thought made real. Fear, desire. How can I ever know that for sure that I've escaped and I'm not just lost in my own fantasy of it? That thought alone can drive you mad. The identifiable words in the scratched out portion. Falls, haunting, wake, light switch, ocean, too late. And the final sentence, you've been warned. So, whatever. So the. So yeah, I was right. The world that Wake is trapped in is behind one of the doors in the Ocean View Motel, and it seems that it would be the. Whoops. The spiral one. Reminds me of the sci-fi game Praise Morgan. Oh, Prey. Yeah, Morgan Yu is listed with a birth date in 2005, which totally recontextualized the character, finding out that Morgan was a Zoomer. Man, Prey was great. I liked that game a whole lot. I don't think I'll ever go back to System Shock, but I could, from that game, I could definitely see the appeal. Ordinary AWE, ordinary dump site, Sterling AWE. Huh.
There's gotta be a way to rotate these tracks. Maybe there's a control panel nearby.
I was gonna do a Superman dive at them and forgot what button it was to do that. Oh god, it's one of the Borbs. I mean, I have the jetpack to get out of here if I need to, but there's probably cool shit somewhere down here. Or maybe not. Alright, goodbye, Borb. I wonder if they're going to make a Prey 2. They certainly left things pretty open with how 1 ended. That'd be cool. Has Arcane Studios put out anything since Prey 1? I know they've done a couple of DLCs for Prey 1, some of which were pretty neat. I didn't really get super into the Moon Crash DLC or anything like that. Oh, here's the other side of the work chat. Teeth! Guess who just had to inspect an inbound delivery of like 100 teensy tiny little boxes? Me, that's who. And you know what was inside each one? A single human tooth. Fucking gross. You're right.
There's gotta be a way to rotate these tracks. Maybe there's a control panel nearby.
Well, before I rotate, let's see if there's anything else that I can poke my nose into. It has reinforced windows, so I can't, like, finagle myself up there and dash through it like a hooligan.
It won't rotate. Something's blocking it.
Aha! Whoops.
It won't rotate.
I know!
Something's blocking it.
I know! Ta-da! Ah! I found one of the hidden walls. Big ol' health boost. That's pretty neat. Not important, but very well hidden. Yeah, that is a really goofy way to hide some loot. Oh, it's this fucker. Got it. Ah. Another. Bam. Much less spooky when you can one-shot them. Yeah. I mean, they're still pretty spooky, because they could also tear me to shreds if they hit first. But I hit first. Just barely, but I did hit first. Like this glass cannon gameplay. Yeah, I have not upgraded my health once. And I don't have any health upgrades equipped. It's just whatever happens, happens. Ooh. Interesting. Yeah, the fact that the game has OSP is so good. One-shot protection is a thing that basically every game should have, really. How's Bureau baseball? I'm striking him out. Something fierce. Where was the other battery? I saw another one. Oh god, I'm blind. So they don't let you take the battery back out. Maybe there's a battery in here? Ah, there's a battery in here. Ooh, level 5 energy renewal. Ah, energy gain from headshots. I need to upgrade my grip. Sure, we'll roll with this loadout and see how it goes. If I'm hurt, I really hurt them. Haha. Alright. I'm out of here. Oh. Whoop. Huh, damn it. Oh god. Oh god. They all missed. That instantly filled up your energy. Yeah? I like this build. Just like panic throw everything. If I get hurt, start firing wildly, and if any of them are a headshot, I can start panic throwing again. The airplane in question has been brought in from a private airfield located in the town of Blank, Cincinnati. It's suspected to be connected to the Blank AWE. See case files blank for details. And is being evaluated for altered status. The plane is currently being stored in the transit corridor in the containment sector brought there through the New York subway tunnel. Special access blank for more information on tunnel blank and links to urban legends centered on ghost stations, abandoned tracks, and blank. See file 412 4521. The plane's black box is currently being evaluated for blank, and initial readings have been taken by a research team, though no altered status has yet been detected. I'm close to your second favorite place in the game? Nice. How in control am I? Kind of. I put some new mods into my favorite gun so that if I just like wildly blind fire and happen to get a headshot, then my energy refills very quickly. And if I'm almost dead, that headshot does a truckload of damage. Cardboard only. Hey, buddy. Ordinary AWE, staged 1.A. The first slide was a room... Oh. Oh, okay. Witness testimonies. Okay, so Dylan says, the first slide was a room with dirty wallpaper and dolls on a shelf. There were lots of dolls. The house was empty. No one lived there. We played in there a lot. It was our secret playhouse, said Jesse. I went to school with Neil. Some kids called him Nosebleed Neil. Note, likely Neil Hosenberg, missing. It was mean. He had asthma. Tom, likely Tom Barlow, missing, and his gang. Freddy, most likely Frederick Bartell, missing, or Bartwell, missing. Hugo, no one by this name was found in public records, bullied him. We brought Neil to the dump the next day. Said Dylan. Extrapolated information. Unconfirmed existence of additional slide. Designation house. The house was empty. Well, I mean, this place is called the oldest house. Maybe there's some connection. What do we got? Oh, American Overnight.
Overnight, celebrating 29 years, shining a light in the shadows.
I wonder if this is after the Bureau's takeover or not.
Thanks for staying with us. Here's our first caller.
What I'm about to tell you, if they found out, I don't know what would happen.
If who found out, brother?
The men in the suits, they told me it was an industrial accident. But this is something else. Something nobody talks about. Ordinary.
This certainly doesn't sound very ordinary, caller.
No, not ordinary. Ordinary. It's a town. And it wasn't an industrial accident. I mean, that's what they said. But that's bullshit.
Whoa, please watch the language, caller. It may be 2 a.m., but we're still a family show.
I'm sorry. It's just my brother lived there. They said the town was destroyed, but it wasn't. I went there. The people are gone, but the town's there. It's still there.
So the population of an entire town disappears, yet the town remains. Tell me, was the phrase, "there is no salvation" written anywhere?
I'm not sure.
The same thing happened in Brazil in 23, a village called Fort Verde. More than 600 people just up and left. The government said they were fleeing guerrilla forces, but we know the truth. A mass abduction. As predicted by my regular guest, Dr. Quincy Reagan.
Abduction? You mean aliens? That's bullshit! I know they're lying!
Now I warned you about the language, caller. I'm afraid we're gonna have to cut you off. Good timing, too. It's time for a short break.
Uh-huh.
America Overnight, we'll be right back.
Oh, wait, no. It wasn't Bright Falls. Was it Bright Falls? The show in Alan Wake was the one that was eventually taken over by the Bureau, or potentially, or they had intended of taking over it. God, will you guys shut up in there? I'm trying to talk. Ooh. Don't start the presentation yet. I gotta read. I think the radio show was just always Night Watch. Was it called Night Vale? Night Vale. I think that was it. Yeah, I think I think America Overnight has always been a Bureau operation. Okay. Ordinary, AWE 24. An AWE occurred in the town of Ordinary caused by an object of power slide projector ID OOP-15 discovered by local children at a dump outside of town. When a specific set of slides are used in the projected images open doorways to other dimensions. Multiple slides were used by the children, resulting in the disappearance of the town's adult population. Event response. On August 30th, 2002, siblings Dylan Faden, 10 years old, CP6 for CP6 materials. Why are their names not redacted? I mean, I guess because they want to make real sure that the player gets this info, but the inconsistency of the redactions continues to be weird. Alright. Dylan Faden, 10 years old, CP6 materials, and Jesse Faden, 11 years old, CP7 materials, were playing at the local dump when they found a discarded slide projector, CU 15 case file, and Darling presentations blank for details. I assume that's going to be Darling's presentation. A team led by Director Trench and Dr. Darling arrived at the site on September 14th. The AWE had ended, but the team found the Faden children who led them to the slide projector and the slides, which had been burned with the exception of one. Jesse escaped when agents attempted to detain the pair. In total, 17 surviving individuals were found in the town. All of them were brought in for questioning and tests. See interviews blank and prime candidate files blank. Alright. Alright, darling. What you got to say?
There is a curious correlation with the yet unknowable forces intruding upon our world, in the form of altered world events. These forces gravitate toward archetypal objects, a gun, a television, a supposedly haunted house. So clearly humanity affects this process. Our collective unconscious is a map of sorts. We hold the key, but we don't know how to use it. We create these archetypes through everyday life, popular culture, urban legends, but we are observing and influencing a complicated system in action. We can change the likelihood of something being a receptacle for these forces just by thinking about it. But we haven't found a method to control the outcome. And yet, there's something unique in us, in our dreams, in the conceptual reality with power with our minds. What's the cause and what's the effect? Are we the starting point or just a necessary evil in this? A byproduct, a reflection, a projection? We'll struggle to find the answers to these hard questions, or die trying.
Little ominous there, darling, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Ordinary AWE Stage 4. Town proper witness testimonies. Jesse and me followed the dung monkeys to the cave. There was a lot of them. More of the kids of the town had joined up. It was really scary. Jesse grabbed the projector and we ran as fast as we could. They chased us. I fell and I hurt my knee. Jesse tried to help me, but the dung monkeys were coming. They were just about to get us, but then Neil showed up. Neil looked like a dog, like a melted dog, but I knew it was him. Neil said a lot of times he didn't like being a boy because Tom just beat him up. What? What? Neil looked like a dog, a melted dog, but I knew it was him. Neil said a lot of times he didn't like being a boy because Tom just beat him up. Tom Barlow. Okay. I think he liked being a dog, said Dylan. In 2002. The projector wouldn't turn off, so we changed the slide to the hand. I heard her immediately. She promised to help, said Jessie in 2010. Jessie said we should call her Polaris. It's because she was doing stars at school. Oh, okay. Says Dylan in 2002. So the hand slide led to wherever Polaris came from, but the report said that all of the slides, except for one, were burnt up. Additional slide designation hand is verified and in bureau possession. Oh, okay. I guess the slides were fine. Or was the hand the only remaining slide? No, because the hiss came through one of the slides. Or did the hiss come through the hand slide? Unconfirmed existence of paranatural entity designation Dog Neil. Okay. Oh, you could just walk right by that room full of very interesting information. I mean, I guess you could just ignore basically all of the information in this game, huh? Whoa. That's spooky. Oh. Hey, dudes. Alright, just give me 1 second. I'm just going to read this report real quick. AWE Stage 2. After what happened at school, Mrs. Chester, we started spying on Tom and saw where they took the projector. Okay, so another group of bullies stole the projector and were doing some bullshit. Tom and his troglodytes were using the Sled Hill Cave as their headquarters. That's where the projector was. They'd been using the temple slide. We called it that, but it was really a broken concrete thing. Not a warehouse or a bomb shelter or something. Very dark. The Knot Mother lived there with her babies, children, I don't know. She was feeding Tom and the others her milk. They were changing into little monsters. We called them dung monkeys. What? Temple and Knot Mother. hallway sure is a backstory dump. Yeah. I mean, we've just been getting a ton of info about everything as soon as we came to this area. Because it's not just, like, all of the ordinary bullshit, but also just like, oh, hey, also, Jesse was a prime candidate, but not, like, in the Bureau, they were just spying on her.
Formerly P6, performed by Dr. HatVod. The questions asked here correspond to the 5th iteration of the gunner's psychological assessment. Are you ready, Dylan? Let's begin then. In a single word, describe the world around you.
Where's Casper?
Dr. Darling is out of the
Oh, he was on a first-name basis with Darling, huh?
He didn't want to come, did he? He never visits, not since Robert. To tell Darling it wasn't my fault. I couldn't control it yet, but I can now. I learned. Will you tell him?
In a single word, describe the world around you.
A prison. A cold, empty prison. Not even supposed to be.
What is the next number in the sequence 3, 6, 9, 12, 15?
18.
What day is it today?
How the hell would I know? It's not like you give me a calendar.
You find a rabbit in the woods. It is breathing, but not moving. You cannot see any blood. What do you do?
Leave it.
Expand on that.
It doesn't matter. The rabbit's not real. None of it's real.
What day is it today?
Do you enjoy asking people questions that can't be answered? Is this what gets you up in the morning? What you dreamed of doing as a scared, stupid little girl?
Can you describe a dog to me?
In Ordinary, we had a prey. Nosebleed Neil. And when it all went crazy, you know what I mean. Nosebleed Neil turned into a dog. Or something like a dog.
What day is it tomorrow?
Fuck off! I don't know! There is no calendar!
Just realized that the game is probably really quiet.
How can I fucking know?
Dylan, calm down.
Fuck you! Fuck you and fuck Casper! Hey! Are you watching this, you old fuck? Did you send your bitch because you're too scared of me? Where is Casper?
Security, get a team in here. I need...
Dylan wasn't happy. Okay. Audio should be a little better. I feel bad that the game was probably super quiet up until now. That painting exploded into documents. She probably shouldn't have pressed him. I mean, yeah, but that was probably just the procedure that she was following. I don't think she really had any say in it. AWE Stage 1B Dump Witness Testimonies. Doubt the procedure was to ask the question 3 times. I mean, obviously she wasn't very good at it, but she was not the person that was normally handling Dylan. Second slide we called the meadow, but it was really just an empty lot with a bunch of weeds. There was a shack and a phone line. It smelled like flowers there. It was powerful, intoxicating. We had crazy dreams there. It must have been because of the smell. I didn't like it. Didn't like losing control. In the dreams, everything was melting, and then when we'd come out, everything had melted around the projector, said Jesse. Huh. Could that be where the mold came from? It smelled like flowers. It was powerful, intoxicating. Had crazy dreams. Must have been because of the smell. Maybe. Neil was really into it. We'd found out he'd been coming there more and more on his own. Then Tom beat the secret out of Neil and found the projector. He and his goons took it. We thought Neil had gotten lost inside the meadow when Tom changed the slide, but that's not what happened. Oh. So Neil was in the meadow and Tom changed the slide, and then some bullshit happened. Oh, that's when Neil got turned into a dog, but then how did he come back at all?
Let's see what they have on Ordinary. It's all here. Our home, our school, the woods, the dump.
Huh. Okay. I'll look behind me to make sure I don't miss anything back there first, but... I assume this is the Faden household. Oh, fucking, I get it. I get it. I get why this is your second favorite area. I get it. You frickin' hooligan. I can't believe you. I mean, I can believe you, actually. Document. Stage 3. Tom and the others had gotten worse, scarier. The math teacher, Mrs. Chester, tried to make them listen, and then they pushed a piano over on her, broke her legs. Tom bashed her head in. Bye, Mrs. Chester. I always liked her. I liked math, said Dylan. Golly gee willikers. That's not good. That was the tipping point. It was Lord of the Flies level bad. The grown-ups realized something was wrong. The police came and literally dragged Tom and Hugo and the others away. Tom was screaming that the Not Mother would make them all go away. They enacted a curfew for every kid in Ordinary. Mom and Dad were pissed, asking us about the dump, about everything. I remember wanting them gone like Tom had said. When we woke up the next morning, pretty much all the adults had just vanished. Was I responsible? Did I don't know. Disappearance of the majority of Ordinary's population confirmed to result from the slide projector-related AWE. Certainly lines up with the whole perception is reality style of the, of all of these happenings. So this was the dump? Oh, okay. Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3, Stage 4. I don't care about hiss nodes. Correspond? No. Research and records? Okay. Okay. So yeah, these different stages are the stages of the spreading of the effects of the Ordinary AWE. So, 1 was the dump, and then 2 was school. Or no. 2 was... Oh, the Sled Hill Cave. And then 3 was school. And then 4 was just shit spreading all across town. So Neil turned into a dog after all of the adults had shown up, had disappeared. And then they found Polaris. So they found Polaris after the adults had disappeared then. Oh. Ah. Grab him. Damn it. I didn't want to use the... I didn't want to use that on that.
We found the slide projector in the dump outside town. Did they recreate that too? Is that where they keep it?
Hmm.
They say when you visit your tower, everything feels small. Like a miniature. Not real. They got that right.
You can also dash through the buildings? Oh, yeah? Well, I guess they are all destructible, so... Kaboom! I love the way that things get destroyed in this game. Looks so good. Like, even though the fight ended pretty quickly, without too much of a fuss, like, you still have a couple of these things where it's just like, oh, this building is completely gone, part of this building is blown out, part of the childhood home got blown apart along with this, probably because I threw a tree at a dude and it went like, choo, poof. The destruction in this game, it's so good. Like, even this. Bam. Alright, the table fell apart. Bam. Just falling more and more apart. And it's not like, you know, a lot of destruction engines in games, even if they're pretty good, usually what'll happen is, like, I'll shoot this. Bad example. I'll shoot that, and then, like, this section over here starts looking disheveled as well. But no, it's really discreet. Like, if I shoot this drawer, that drawer falls apart. If I shoot that drawer falls apart. And then because I had busted up all three drawers, they fell on top of each other and fell out of the desk entirely. It's great.
You mentioned a poem last time we talked. By Thomas Zane?
Hey!
Beyond the shadow you settle for, there's a miracle illuminated.
I looked the poem up. Only I couldn't find any poet.
Uh-huh.
I did find a European filmmaker.
Because Zane wrote himself out of existence.
Thomas Zane? What? I don't know matter. It suits you very well. The poem. How you see things. Maybe you wrote it yourself?
I didn't.
No matter. You've said a few times that you feel like there's a piece of you missing. Can we talk about that?
Okay. Yeah, it's this. I feel an emptiness, a yearning for something that I think I lost.
It's natural for you to feel that way. Your brother and your parents are dead.
No.
What?
No. Dylan's not dead. And that's not even it.
You're referring to the imaginary friend from your childhood?
Polaris. She's come back. After a long time, she's calling me. In a dream I saw, she showed me things.
Jesse.
It felt more real than anything. As real as what happened in Ordinary.
The industrial accident in your hometown? That you believe Polaris caused.
No, it wasn't an accident. There was no industrial accident, and Polaris didn't cause it. She saved me and Dylan.
Jesse.
No! It was a cover-up. The government knows about it. There were agents there. Agents from... I don't know exactly. They took Dylan. I'll find them. I won't stop looking. Polaris wants me to go to New York. There's a building there. I have to leave soon. I have to be there at a very specific time. Something hugely important is going to happen.
Jesse, you know we can't let you go until you're well.
Oh.
And that begins by understanding what's real and what's imagined.
Oh. She was being held? I guess that would explain why she was in therapy. Jessie doesn't really come across as the kind of person that would willingly, like, let herself just go through all of these kinds of interviews. She really comes across as the kind of person that's just like, that's bullshit, you're bullshit, I'm leaving. The only game that you can think of that was comparable was Red Faction Guerrilla. Yeah, the destruction engine in Red Faction Guerrilla was also extremely good. I want to go back and play through that game again someday, but I have so many other games to play. A shame that Armageddon was allegedly not as good. Ordinary supplement. Details are largely based on interviews conducted with Dylan Fadens. The interviews blank and blank for relevant information, and the obtained therapy sessions of Jesse Faden, as well as circumstantial evidence found at the Ordinary site. Note that accounts provided by all three sources contained conflicting data. Dylan claims there were 8 slides on the projector, but Jesse mentioned 9. The Bureau found 1 intact slide, and the burnt remains of 6 others. Unfortunately, these slides are too badly damaged to be used on the projector. Jesse is believed to be the individual responsible for burning the slides. Huh. Dr. Darling has ordered the entirety of the Ordinary town dump be brought to the Bureau for examination and analysis with the hopes of finding additional slides or other altered materials. Due to the limited space in the investigation sector, this AWE will be investigated in the containment sector. Huh. Destruction was curbed way back and had a ton of publisher meddling. Yeah, that makes sense. Huh. So if all of these claims are true, then the Bureau has the hand slide. Right? The Bureau mentioned that they had obtained the hand slide. But if they obtained the hand slide at the very beginning, then it isn't super likely that the hiss came through the hand slide. So they must have come into possession of one of the other 2 slides. One of the missing ones that Dylan had mentioned, or one of the missing 2 that Jesse had mentioned. Oh, wait. Did they confirm... Hang on. Did they confirm the existence of the... what was it called? The temple slide. Unconfirmed existence of additional slide designation temple. Designation not mother. Not mother doesn't really come across as what the hiss is, but maybe it is. Because it mentioned that Tom and the other bullies... Oh, yep, here's the dump. Tom and the other bullies had started to become monstrous.
The whole landfill here in the middle of New York, and nobody saw a thing. Pretty unbelievable.
Crowbar. Dump cessation of work order. By order of Dr. Darling, all work in the Ordinary dump is to stop effective immediately. Resources will be allocated to the blank department. Details will be forthcoming. This area will be sealed at the end of the month. Please remove all personal effects before that time. Any photographic slides, the type used in slide projectors, found in the area should be delivered to Dr. Darling immediately. That is one of the only instances that I can recall of, like, font formatting. That underscore, Darling really meant it. More document. Globe supplement. The item was found in the penthouse suite at blank Toronto. Hey! Belonging to David Wolf, who is being investigated for illegally dealing in altered materials. Bureau agents raided his penthouse and found numerous paranatural belongings, including blank, blank, and this item. Mr. Wolf was arrested. Article from Toronto Daily. So why would a 36-year-old Bay Street investment trader, filthy rich, married to a model, disappear overnight? That's the question that's kept Toronto high society up at night this past week. Police say it's being looked into. Some nutjob radio show in the States claim he disappeared to join the Illuminati. But it's this reporter's opinion that Mr. Wolf, bored of his job, sick of his family, left it all behind to retire in some remote beach paradise. Now he's sipping on Mai Tais while the world thinks he's dead. I wonder if the Bureau had anything to do with this report. Because obviously, like, Nutjob Radio Show is the one that the Bureau was in control of. Well, I guess if it's from Toronto, then it's not quite as likely that they would have quite as much control over the media. Although now that I think about it, so there have been various like AWEs and such globally, and it is referred, like, the Bureau is referred to as, it is called the Federal Bureau of Control. Are there other agencies somewhere in the world that also deal in this kind of bullshit? God, please. Yeah! Shit. Couldn't break his shield to regenerate my energy. Whoop! I was up against something. Oh god. It's fine. Huh. Go get him, boy.
We should check that lab.
This is Dr. Darling's lab, eh? Alright, capped out on personal mods again. Damn it. Nice. Not nice enough. Goodbye. Okay, and then... Da-da-da-da. Okay. And I'll just dismantle that later. Okay, before going into the lab, let's take a quick look around. Aha! The equivalent of "Are we cool yet?" What? What's this button do? Oh. Okay, that's how we leave, I assume. Oh, already been up here. Oh hey, cool fridge. Never found that button? What? Oh. Oh shit.
Effective immediately. I'm setting up a new department. Dimensional research in the research sector. Transferring the slide projector there. That's where my focus will be now. The ordinary site remains as is. We'll be back to... I don't know when.
Darling
Huh.
took the projector to the research sector. He dedicated a whole area to it, so he knew it was important. Dimensional research. That's where we go next.
Hmm. Oh, you just backtracked? Oh, okay. Hey! New episode! It kind of reads in a couple of places that they wanted to be a little more explicit with the episodic style thing like they were with Alan Wake, but they probably decided that it would, like, take up too much time and break the flow a little better. Break the flow a little too much, rather. I should turn the copyrighted music mute option off. Are you sure about that? Reasons. Okay. If this gets muted, I'm mad at you. Oh, the ashtray maze! Oh! Okay, that makes sense. Spit! Sure. I haven't been using charge that much anyways. We'll switch back to spin. Alright, I also got a hotline. Fake news. Oh no. That's bad. That's very bad. That sounds very, very bad. I don't like that. Oh, I can upgrade grip. Yeah. We'll upgrade spin while I'm here. We'll upgrade spin again while I'm here. Upgrade charge while I'm here. It's fine. That thing you didn't hear about is perfectly okay. Yeah, I don't know about that. Accuracy, it's all well and good, but let's do headshot damage. Yeah. I want to go for spin. Ammo cost while levitating. Ooh, that sounds like fun. Rate of fire. Ammo refund on hit. That sounds good. Launch efficiency, level 5. Don't mind if I do. Okay. Alright, before I go to dimensional research shenanigans, ammo cost while levitation. While levitating is great for charge and spin. Yeah, it does seem that way. So first I want to see if Emily has anything new to say, but also, well, first I want to see my new suit. Oh. Nah. I'm not gonna be going around doing dimensional... I'm not gonna go through the fucking ashtray maze in my PJs. Oh, wait. Okay, I'm gonna go... Yeah, I know... Right. I had mentioned this back when I first found the ashtray maze. I was like, oh, Emily was part of Darling's team. I can like... Ashtray maze, where... Central research. I was like, oh, Emily is on was on Darling's team. Emily can probably get me through the ashtray maze. So when I went to talk to Emily, she had a, like, oh, here's a primary objective marker over her head. So I'm going to go see what Jesse has to say about the ashtray maze, and then go back and talk to Emily. Luck and probability. No. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Aha! I got you. What are they shooting at? What were they fighting that wasn't me? What? Man, spin does a lot of damage. Damn it. There we go. I gotta get the kills with spin itself, man. Okay, I got the dong. There's a couple hidden offices in the walls? What, in central research or in dimensional research? Central? Oh yeah. Been here, but... Alright, it's a mole toast. Damn it. I need to kill that thing. Ah. Oh, just loot. I don't care about loot. I care about lore. Yeah. Oh. Not a whole lot going on up here, but... I'd forgotten that Central was kind of where the whole mold thing was really kicking off. Nothing? Oh, come on. Oh wait, store's unlocked. Aha! I'm concerned. Salmon soup, torpedoes, saucers, one happy philosopher. My sister lives in Glasgow. Magenta on Sunday. Elevators tip me over. Soap. Weird. Sound of Bromance, the new LP by LP. Refreshing, like eating a lemon in a hot tub. Pentatostic Waste, on tour from hell. Socks and Ballerinas, live at the Oldest House, Friday night executive sector. Bring your own drinks. Uh-huh. Alright, you do you, buddy. The dude's schmoovin'. Is that it? I'm scared to actually go in and listen to the song because I have copyright turned off. Oh wait, was there an open door on this platform too? I don't think there was. Oh. I wonder if I've been through here. I haven't, because there's lore. Darling Underhill Disagreement. Dear Dr. Darling, I feel I must inform you of the very questionable documentation I'm seeing from Underhill's desk. She clearly has no concept of what the mold is. She claims there are microorganisms responsible for constructing the mold. Ridiculous. It's a rapidly growing fungus, not dissimilar to the kudzu. She's fabricating complexity to justify her absurd budget demands. Speaking of which, I find it interesting that an old friend of yours gets her budget approved with no questions asked. I wonder if the Operations Oversight Committee would be interested to learn about that. Yours in estimation, Dr. Abrams Lewis. Wasn't Lewis the dude that fucking ate it? Wasn't Lewis the guy that was paranoid about plants? Blue. Phenylacetic acid. Acetic acid. Phenylacetone. Is this a fucking Breaking Bad reference? Is this whole room a Breaking Bad reference? Kind of feels like it. I'm scared. That was a whole conga line of motherfuckers right there. Yikes. Same thing happened to you? It doesn't seem like it's a difficult thing to have happen to you. You were waiting for it. Oh, you knew and you didn't warn me? How cruel. Alright, let's go back. Ba-ba-ba. Boop. Oh, hey, darling. You ain't got no pants on. Looking pretty fit, though.
It's done. It's just one large-scale HRA. It's an easy choice, no choice. It's there now. Protecting the most important thing. From what's coming. I'll be there inside. Locked in. Ready to be blown away. Down, agent. Ready for the journey. To be blown, flying into the model. Ready to see. To understand.
Boy, howdy, darling. What you up to, bud? That doesn't seem good. There's some lore. What, in the mold lab? Yeah, I'm going back. I gotta kill that conga line of motherfuckers. Ah, here it is. Hammer procedures. Game Hammer. Per Archival Mandates 8A, this document has been edited to meet current administrative standards. Certain terminology may be out of date. No method for suppressing the item's thaumaturgical effect is yet known. To prevent infection, wear proper safety gloves when handling infection. The item is a wooden mallet from a High Striker carnival game. A long wooden handle extends from the head. The item infects any organic material with an unknown disease upon making physical contact. The effects of this disease are similar to leprosy, but develop at a much faster rate. Within days, tissue loss develops in the limbs closest to the point of infection. While the disease itself has not claimed any lives, secondary infection has resulted in numerous deaths. Yikes. Okay. Aha! God damn it. Just need 2 more kills with the spin. What? What? I didn't know they could fucking just Spider-Man climb their way up to the platform. Damn it. Okay, there we go. All right. I got him. Anything else in here? I feel like the blue diagram must be a Breaking Bad reference. It's gotta be. Aww. I got him with the big guy. Oh, shit. Alright, cool. Where was I going? Ashtray maze. Which was this away. Yeah, yoinkin' dudes is pretty good. Man, fire breaks are so fucking cool. Oh.
Contact the janitor if you need to get through.
Broken. How many dead ends can this place have? We need
What?
to find Ati.
Ashtray maze broke. Give me some energy. Gotta go find the best character again. Yeah. But first, I do want to go to Central Executive and speak to Emily. Yo, Emily. What up?
Do you remember Mr. Tomasi, the head of communications? The hiss he was changed into showed up in containment.
Oh, shit.
Near the turntable.
I'll take care of it.
That thing's not getting away this time.
Alright.
I've heard reports about his particular use of language and intonation when repeating the Hiss babbling. The biological and behavioral distinctions between different Hiss-corrupted individuals is truly fascinating. I wonder if I could categorize the data.
And she's already off on her own thing.
How was it working with
I've
Darling?
been seeing these Darling presentations all over. Seems like he enjoys the limelight.
So you noticed, huh? When he recruited me out of college, he actually came to visit. He interrupted my physics course by shouting, not quite, Professor, and then marching down to the front of the class where he proceeded to berate the very idea of laws of thermodynamics. Hey, he's been a showboat all his life.
Darling visited you in college?
Yeah, he read a paper I'd published, came to recruit me for the Bureau. I accepted and then spent years waiting for access to the confidential research that Darling promised me. And whenever I ask about my access level, he just mumbles that it's temporarily postponed and then changes the subject to the effect of entropy on luck.
I wonder who else Darling hid his work from. Marshall? Trench? Have you learned anything about Dylan's condition?
Only that he's definitely Hiss, but I guess his chanting made that pretty obvious. You know, interestingly, the words of the Hiss incantation have an average length of 4 letters. The most common word used 7 times is want. The next most common are through and time. It's very interesting, don't you think?
I don't care about the words. What about my brother?
Right. Sorry, I got a little off track. Well, strangely, his tissue samples all look healthy, unlike the other Hiss I've tested.
That's good news. Right? I wanted to talk to you about the crazy things I can do. My abilities. I get the sense that they're not very usual around here.
Well, usual and unusual aren't really benchmarks at the Bureau, but for some perspective, Director Northmore once used the floppy disk to send a bowling ball 6 yards through the air, and that was considered a huge deal. So compared to that, you are most certainly an outlier.
An outlier. I like the sound of that. I should get going.
Don't let me hold you up.
Ah, sorry. I was having snacks while we were getting some good old Emily dialogue. So yeah, I do recall having a lot more trouble with Tomasi than Mold 1, but also I recall having absolutely no trouble with Mold 1, so it's not exactly a fair comparison. Where's the Tomasi fight? Finish Tango. Containment. Northmore once threw a bowling ball 6 feet, and that was the best he can do. Yeah. The fact that Jesse's throw is completely weaponized. Pretty wild. Also, did we find out what happened in Northmore? Yes. Thankfully, Dylan pointed out rewatching the hotline, the Northmore hotline after obtaining the document regarding the NSC. And, you know, 2 and 2 together on that one. Ouch. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. God. I don't know where the one-shot thing is. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Oh god. Yep, there it is. Yeah, knew that's how that was gonna go down. What's with the D12? The very first boss is back as a bonus fight. And he's in this room for some reason. Yeah, the D12 is remnants from the Sterling AWE. According to that sign up there. Damn it. Get me up. Alright, where'd he go? Ah, there you are. Damn it. Shit. Damn it. Damn it. Having these barricades is way worse. Because my throws will just knock up against the barricade and stop. His throws will go through the barricade and kill me. Alright, rather than spin... let's try Pierce. Could just double up on damage while aiming. What? What do you throw at me? God damn it. God. I was trying to switch guns. But each time I hit F, I didn't switch guns. I did something else. Later, Ruffin. Thanks for dropping in. Stream ads are actually badass. It sounds like someone needs an ad blocker. Yeah. Adobe's making a program for photo manipulation. How could you even do that? That sounds ridiculous. Alright, I'll give this fight a couple of more tries and then move on to something else for a while. Sometimes my throw will, like, grab objects super easy, but sometimes it seems like it just doesn't actually get it done. Yikes. Yikes. I couldn't see that he was still holding a thing because he was in the light. Most powerful object of power, the hype train. Would that I could. Does he use the hype train to get people hype? That'd be cool. I have doubts that I'm any kind of para-utilitarian, unfortunately. On-demand train? Oh god. Can I demand no train? That seems pretty good to me. Damn it. I hate it when he's on top of the rock, because I can't combo quite as easily. Oh god, I forgot that they can do the dive. Or at least he can do the dive. Damn it! Oh Jesus. Oh god. Give me the health, give me the health. Damn it! Urgh. Damn it! I wasn't throwing things fast enough. If I could have gotten another throw, I could have dropped down on top of the thing and then gotten the health drops. Ah, damn it. Also, I need to restart the captioner. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Cool. I felt really good about that fight. I feel like I'm honing in on what I need to do to make this happen. Damn it. Everything I was trying to block, everything I was trying to throw just got blocked by one of the stupid barricades. God damn it. I need to not be within a frickin' square mile of a barricade in order to actually get my throws to connect. Ah! Fuck, I didn't realize it had spawned in already. Oh god, I'm super dead. Yep. Yep. Basically, the situation is, if I get hit by the frickin' invisible one-shot machine, I'm dead. The worst superpower. I mean, there is a JoJo villain whose power was being dead. And that guy blew up a plane. Do the dive at me. Shit, shit, shit. Yes! Okay. Oh god. Shit, shit. I don't know where Tomasi is. There he is. Oh god. Oh god, I'm not at full health. I don't think I have one-shot protection. Let me through! Oh god. Okay. Okay. Nope. Ah! Yes!
There.
Gotcha,
The
bitch.
Bureau should start looking for a new head of communications.
Oh, buddy. There was a Marvel hero that had a power of being dead. Her name was Dead Girl, and she was just dead. She and Doctor Strange hooked up despite her being 20 years younger and also dead. Alright. Huh. Alright. I knew I would get it eventually, but not having any health upgrades at all certainly made that fight a lot more difficult than it needed to be. Alright. Sterling! A paranatural object appeared in a field outside the town of Sterling, Colorado, near a billboard advertising blank. No civilians were injured, though a family dog has been reported as missing ever since the event. Local authorities arrived on the scene and began issuing orders over a monitored line of communication using several watchwords flagged by the Bureau, including blank. Bureau agents from the regional office were dispatched and arrived 2 hours after the local police. The situation was contained and analysis began. Bureau research staff arrived the next day and examined the object. After blank days of evaluation, the object was lifted into an enclosed truck with built-in black rock panels and relocated to the Bureau headquarters via the subway transit system leading to the oldest house. Okay. So this big rock appeared in a field. Dog went missing. But what is the rock, though? See if we can find any answers in here. Local witnesses report a bright flash in the field at approximately blank. No noise accompanied the light. Authorities had assumed the object fell from the sky, but our examination found the object actually manifested there, vaporizing the soil around it in an intense spherical blank, which possibly explains how the light was seen from town. The object is a hollow sphere made of stone-like material. Structural analysis of the material does not blank on record. Okay. The sphere has a broken portion as if something blanked from the object. The object has been inactive since arriving at the Bureau. The communications department officially stated to the press that the object was a small meteor, while also using the America Overnight program to blank. See episode 92. This AWE will be studied in the containment sector until the spherical object is deemed safe to be transferred to the investigation sector. He's a wrestler, duh. Alright. Listen here, you.
You're listening to America Overnight, now in our 29th year, lifting the veil between fiction and reality. Thank you for staying up with us. I've been getting a lot of calls about this meteor in Sterling, Colorado. There are reports of a large spherical container that crash landed in a field outside town. Some government people reportedly took it away. Now, we happen to broadcast from Colorado, and Sterling isn't far. I drove down myself to check it out with members of the America Overnight team. I don't need to tell you, it wasn't long before we found pieces of metal debris scattered in a field. Listeners, this is yet another instance of an unidentified flying object, or UFO, entering our airspace and crashing. That the government took away the evidence under cover of darkness only compounds the fact that these are more than likely visitors from beyond our planet, or dare I say, solar system. Head on over to our website to see pictures of the spacecraft pieces we uncovered. And while you're doing that, our sponsors would like your ear. America Overnight will be right back.
That's pretty good. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Weird object appears in field outside of town. Shady government organization comes and takes it away. How do you cover that up? It was fucking aliens. It was a UFO. It's simple, but it works. Fucking pieces of debris from my fight with Tomasi just littering the scaffolding. I don't think that's supposed to be there. Mentioned that part of it had broken away. I don't see anything like that. Like, allegedly it's empty, but... Huh. Oh well. Cool rock. Pretty sure I got the only other document in this room that I'd found. Alright, let's go back to Emily and see what she has to say about me having a very, very difficult and prolonged fight with Tomasi. I mean, it wasn't particularly prolonged. None of the fights took very long. It's just that most of them ended with me dying. Zoop. Hey, what up, Emily?
I took care of the Tomasi problem. Sorry, I forget he was a coworker. Don't apologize. That wasn't the real Tomasi. He died when the hiss got him. You're right. I just didn't want to be insensitive. Sentimentality is a weakness in situations like these, Jesse. That's Bureau 101.
I don't think Emily's in danger of being called sentimental.
Hey!
I should get going. Don't let me hold you up.
3 ability points. Hell yeah. You know what that can buy? Not health upgrades. Because upgrading your health is for cowards. Give me more energy. Oh, right. Got another mission. Huh. Control is a perfect simulator of what it's like being transferred to a new location in the company. You know what? Yeah. I'm gonna inspect the sector elevator.
There was something there. Reaching for her. Trying to make her act. It was a distress call. Faden sensed a drowning man. A hunger in the dark. Investigation sector.
Investigation sector.
Yeah! Yes!
We should check this out.
I want to go hang out with Alan Wake. You got some glare on your screen. Oh, sorry. Here, let me put the curtain back up. All right. It should be gone now.
Hello? Anyone here?
Guess not.
Darling Investigation. Compiled by Tim Spalder. By order of William Kirkland. Official findings report regarding Dr. Casper Carling. Dr. Casper Darling. Internal confidential. I'm a little worried that I shouldn't be accessing this now. Like, I'm worried there's gonna be spoilers. Considering this is DLC. Per authorization from Mr. Kirkland, Internal Investigation D0845 was launched into the ethical practices of Dr. Casper Darling, head of research. Despite the accounts of anonymous blank regarding inhuman treatment of a blank currently housed in the Bureau, our official findings regarding this were inconclusive. A blank. A kid? Dylan? There's no date on this. Numerous obstacles arose during this investigation. The majority of blank sector personnel seemed to be wholly unaware of such blank contained there. One blank confirmed the blank's codename to be blank, but all files pertaining to that name were inaccessible, being classified on the highest clearance level. Investigators were similarly blocked from entering the blank research wing to interview its staff. The matter was further complicated by lack of clarity on whether non-human paranatural entities warrant humane treatment. Huh. While this investigation cannot address any charges against Dr. Darling, we do recommend an investigation into blank research. Oh, I got a hotline. Hang on. Wake!
Darkness engulfed the elevator. There was something there. A presence. Jesse Faden could hear it. A call. It was faint, reaching for her from a dark place. Faden was sensitive to visitations. She had them all the time. From her guiding star and the previous director. She was the perfect receiver. As if she'd been made for this. Faden paused to feel it. The force at play here. It was changing things around her, subtle, trying to make her act. Faden didn't like that. Her guide felt it too. Polaris didn't flare up in defense as with the hiss. So it wasn't all bad. Not a hostile transmission. It was powerful, but it was coming from far away. And made weak because of the distance. It was a distress call. Faden sensed a drowning man. A man desperate to escape. She sensed something else, too. A hunger in the dark. Not unlike the hostile resonance. Waiting. She knew that desperate acts can have grim consequences. It was this, more than the man's despair, that made her follow the call. The elevator lights winked back on. The darkness receded like a memory. There was a new button on the elevator control panel. Investigation Sector. Faden pressed the button. The elevator doors slid shut with practiced bravado.
All right.
Seems a lot more crowded than the rest of the Bureau.
Casey inquiry. Mr. Dennis, a request came recently from the FBI asking us for all our files on Bright Falls, specifically on the disappearance of the author Alan Wake. Per the Interagency Information Exchange Agreement, I had some paper pushers gather up a folder of all pre-approved files. Don't worry, all the inappropriate material is either missing or redacted. But I'm writing to let you know that we received this request from a special agent named Alex Casey. Sounds familiar, right? That's because Alex Casey is the name of the fictional detective in those hard-boiled crime books Alan Wake wrote. Oh yeah. Pretty interesting that an FBI agent sharing the name with the most famous character Wake wrote is looking into a case dealing with the writer's fiction coming true. I think this is worth looking into, but what's your opinion? Just give the word and I'll start surveillance on this guy. Special Investigator Gleason. Weird to look at an entire document that isn't redacted in any way. Mr. Kirkland, here are the latest agents confirmed missing, presumed dead from the containment breach yesterday. Jonathan Connor, Erza Cruz, Caroline Dempsey, Lindsay Malcolm, Charles Murray, Derek Shaw. Letters of condolence will be delivered to you to sign prior to sending them to their families. You'll be updated as soon as the additional confirmations are made. Also, per your request, a network engineer checked how many cases were backed up digitally. Unfortunately, a large number of active investigations were not archived yet, and only the hard copies or reports exist behind the firebreak. They're lost, I'm afraid. 2017. Okay. Tractor supplement. Miscommunication led to a local coroner examining the body of William Borrow, male Caucasian. 33-year-old man found dead on his property per police report. Remains obtained for coroner's office also include blood, urine, bile, stomach contents, and bone fragments. Autopsy findings: blunt force injuries, head. Lacerations, left ear cheek. Blunt force injuries, extremities. Dislocation right knee. Complete avulsion of the upper right extremity with associated fracture of the proximal right humerus. Excessive trauma, abdominal region. Complete avulsion of multiple organs: stomach, heart, liver, pancreas. This guy got his whole dang organs blown out. His entire body was removed from his body. It is my opinion that Mr. Burroughs' death is not the result of a mechanical accident, as claimed by the authorities. The removal of organs is consistent with animal attack. Get out of the way. There's a document back here. Keystone inspection. Mr. Kirkland, we stopped the Keystone on our way to the target AWE, like you asked. I'm sending my report directly to you to try and keep a lid on this Grumman Morales desertion issue. We didn't find any sign of them here. Given our records, it's possible they switched teams, like you suspected, but I don't think that's the case. An event definitely occurred here in the Keystone, and I think Grumman and Morales got caught up in it. The entire population has vanished into thin air. Reminds me of the Ordinary case, but that was just the adults, if I'm remembering the file correctly. This was different. I think our guys are casualties, not traitors. If this was an AWE, it seems to be over. We walked through the whole town, and the only strange thing we noticed were markings on various buildings. 2 overlapping circles with a dot in the shared space. Could be unrelated. I'll show you the pictures when I get back. In the meantime, you should send a team out here to cordon the place off and maybe get some comms guys working on its cover story. Sincerely, Agent Keenum. Okay. More document. Official findings report regarding the Prime Candidate Program, internal confidential. Per authorization from Mr. Kirkland, internal investigation was launched in the legality of the Prime Candidate Program blank by the Federal Bureau of Control. Since all known subjects relevant to the investigation use executive privilege to decline interviews, very little first-hand information was gathered. However, anonymous sources and documentation declassified by Mr. Kirkland both paint an alarmingly clear picture of systematic blank and blank. Blank were brought to the oldest house and placed under blank examination and testing with the aim of appointing one as director upon maturity. The program has produced no successful cases and only resulted in the traumatic blank of preternaturally inclined blank. Not only is this a breach of the Ash Act, but it flies in the face of basic human blank. This investigation team unequivocally blank the Prime Candidate Program and recommends that it be blank immediately. I'm still super spooked that something is going to get spoiled here, but... Tracked procedures. Item is not in Bureau custody. None known. Oh. Frank Elk Tractor. Olive green, dried blood on the grill when last seen. Item is capable of vocalized responses or growls and unmanned locomotion. Considered highly aggressive and dangerous. Oh, we got a monster tractor! The item first came to the Bureau's attention after the death of William Burrow, owner of Burrow Farm outside of Trenton, Texas. Local authorities arrived on the scene after an employee found the mutilated body of Mr. Burrow beneath his tractor. Police arrived but were immediately driven away by the tractor. Panicked calls to the federal authorities were intercepted by Bureau communications staff. A team was dispatched. This happened in early 2019. Okay. Upon arrival, the agents approached the item. It responded by growling like a bear. 3 agents were injured when they tried to detain the item, which escaped. Aerial searches for the item are ongoing. Speaking of Mrs. Burrow revealed that she had a domestic altercation with Mr. Burrow earlier in the night of the incident. Whether these events are connected is currently unknown. So many files. Oh, cool space helmet. Trench official warning. Oh. Kirkland, I'm growing tired of your blatant attempts to lay your incompetence at my doorstep. I know you want this to be true, but you are head of investigations. This failure is your responsibility. What did you think would happen holding a dangerous specimen in investigations? The containment sector exists for a reason. They're better trained and better equipped for this type of work. In fact, they have admirably taken on certain AWE monitoring responsibilities that your staff are no longer capable of. This happens more and more now. And don't think you're petty and... She's a were-tractor. Fucking... She is a were-tractor! You're right, that's why they can't find it! Doomsby, you are so extremely right. Don't think your petty internal investigations have gone past my notice. You're a worm. Everything I've done has been for the benefit of the Bureau. The Prime Candidate Program only failed because of Darling. You're both failures, plotting against me. You're traitors, but the truth will emerge out of you. You're choosing to become my enemy, Kirkland. You don't want to be. Signed, Zachariah Trench, Director of the Federal Bureau of Control. Compiled by Redacted by order of Kirkland. Per authorization of Mr. Kirkland, blank was launched into the blank of Director Zachariah Trench. A recent change in blank witnessed Director Trench including aggressive blank when blank with other staff has been observed. However, this investigation is aimed at interpreting this issue rather than proving it. Notable blank between Dr. Trench and Director Trench and Dr. Darling has been witnessed by numerous Bureau staff, although both declined to meet for an interview on the matter. Witness accounts suggest their arguments center around the Dimensional Research Wing and the blank kept inside. However, no evidence exists to confirm Dr. Trench's blank as anything more than interpersonal disagreements. The investigation has concluded that Dr. Trench's behavior is not indicative of any blank and that his fitness to lead is not in question. Kirkland and Trench having it out. Underhill background. Oh boy, more about Miss Underhill, Miss Mold. Dr. Raya Underhill is a professor at the University of Woodrow in the United Kingdom, where she teaches biology with a focus on botany. Dr. Underhill once worked with the Bureau as a parabotanist stationed in... As a parabotanist stationed in the research sector of the oldest house. She served with no incidents or demerits and is praised by those who formerly worked with her, including Dr. Darling. Dr. Underhill has no known connections to the paracriminal organizations. That's a hell of a concept. Or any record of breaching her NDAs since leaving the Bureau. Her civilian behavior has been ideal, with the exception of an ongoing personal relationship with Dr. Darling that appears to have begun during their time as co-workers in the research sector and revisited intermittently since. Depending on the duration of her work in the oldest house, it may be required to have both parties sign a relationship clearance form. The investigation has found no compelling reason to deny Dr. Darling's request to offer Dr. Underhill an interim position with the aim of finding a solution to the mold threshold issue. Alright. I was just like, hey, Underhill and Darling got the hots for each other. Is it okay to bring her back in to deal with the mold? Yes. Okay, cool. Cauldron Lake update. Oh boy. To Chief Investigator Dennis. It happened again, third time this year. Something certainly has it out for our blank. Could be the raccoons. The locals certainly complain about them enough, but why the hell would the raccoons keep going after the monitoring station? Doesn't add up. Anyways, I've got a Bureau tech going to the site next week to take a look. Next on the list of recurring problems is the staff at the Lake House Research Station. How am I supposed to effectively keep an eye on blank lake if they won't let me see any data? Hell, I don't even know what they're researching out there. We need... Wait. Is that just did they just redact the word cauldron? How am I supposed to keep an eye on Cauldron Lake if they won't see me any data? Weird. We need to petition them again to share their info with investigations agents. It's only a matter of time before this blank hits again, and I want to be prepared. AWE? Or OOP? Anyway, if anyone at HQ asks why Bright Falls report is a little thin this month, tell them it's because we couldn't take any readings. In the meantime, I might investigate some raccoon traps. Verboten Cauldron. Sincerely, Agent Estevez. So they were having some issues with investigating Cauldron Lake, eh? Staffing issues. Mr. Dennis. So yes, there's an increase in AWE cases, and yes, it would be a good idea to... Oh, wait. These documents that have, like, no redactions don't have the... Like, they don't have any header or footer on them. These seem to be just, like, printed pages handed directly from person to person. Like, these are not official documents. Which is an interesting concept. Mr. Dennis, so yes, there's an increase in AWE cases, and yes, it would be a good idea to put together a special task force to examine exactly why that is. However, it seems like a tiny little detail slipped through the cracks. We don't have the damn stuff. If you expect us to detect, investigate, and process more AWE cases, you need to give us more people. It's simple math. Between the staff we lost and the Hartman thing, and the ones who left for other departments after Kirkland quit were barely managing to keep up with the workload. Hell, just filling the paperwork for all the altered items we left behind in the sector has been an ordeal. Another thing, and this is going to sound paradoxical, but we have an overcrowding situation. The lobby isn't meant to accommodate a whole sector's worth of staff. We put forward a motion to move investigations to a more suitable location months ago. It better not be sitting on your desk. The people are getting restless, and as Kirkland's interim replacement, it's your job to handle it. Best regards, Agent Grayson. So, Kirkland left and brought some dudes with him, and like they were seen to be traitors, but then those dudes seem to have disappeared. It seems, along with Kirkland. And so investigations was having a shitload of problems, and so the reason why this area is so like crowded together and messy, I mean, it doesn't even seem that bad, but like everyone was working out of the lobby. Alright, let's see if I can find some batteries around here. Get out of here. I don't think I've seen any batteries. Ah, another file though. Resignation letter. Yep. Blank of blank 2019. To whom it may concern, it is with great anger and regret that I tender my resignation as head of investigations for the Federal Bureau of Control. I do this in protest of the rampant disregard for my department's blank. My staff cannot continue to work in these conditions. Previous requests and warnings have fallen on deaf ears, so I must now rely on my actions to speak louder than my words ever could. I blame this situation on our blank, who has routinely ignored my request for assistance in reclaiming parts of the investigation sector lost to the blank loose inside. I will never forget the screams of the brave agents begging for us to open that fire break. I will carry that shame for the rest of my days. The blank failed as agents. I shall never forgive him for that. Okay, so current director Trench lost to the... So there's some kind of altered item that is fucking up the investigation sector. And so this is the lobby, and so everyone that was working in investigations that made it out after whatever fucked up investigations, and whatever fucked up investigations is still trapped in investigations proper by the fire break. Working as intended. Oh wait, what is the multimedia? Oh, just a bunch of stuff that I've listened to.
It's not working. Probably a loose power core somewhere.
Okay, so I do need to find the batteries, but I don't know where they are. Okay, move this. Oh, okay.
Now that gate should open.
Wait, was there another battery thing around here somewhere? What happens if I put the battery into that? Or am I just mixing that up? Oh, yeah. Nope, just move battery from one thing to another. Oh, more documents! Specimen escape assessment. The purpose of internal investigation X is to examine the containment failure of specimen SL1 or SI1 that resulted in the deaths of blank agents. An inspection report of the containment equipment 3 days An inspection report of containment equipment 3 days earlier showed no faults. Investigations suspect human error to be the case, yet no department has provided any evidence to support this. Technicians were able to recover the researchers' notes on the specimen in the internal network. On the blank of blank, the specimen began displaying a sharp increase in an aggressive blank. Cross-referencing that date with various logs found the only two events inconsistent with the sector's daily routine. The air filters were changed, and an hour prior to the incident, a civilian named Alice Blank entered the sector regarding an unrelated investigation. Given their connection to the AWE case, it's likely that Mrs. Blank's presence is relevant to the specimen's escape and to the blank. Investigation is ongoing. Huh. Civilians showed up and shit went bad. Interesting.
I'm no detective, but something definitely happened here.
Ooh. We get to go back to the motel. we get to go to the motel. Oh boy. Blessed Organization. Paracriminal profile the Blessed Organization. This group individual has operated outside the Bureau's notice for decades, perhaps longer, displaying a level of skill and caution rarely seen in paracriminal groups. A review of past cases has found various mentions of their activities over the years. 2016, a production company called Blessed Pictures was connected to an altered item case, as well as the death of an agent from exposure to illicit paranatural materials. In 1994, a Los Angeles-based public speaker named Chester Bless was involved in the illegal use of an altered item. In 1988, a business called Blessed Repair and Service was suspected of involvement with an object of power case, perhaps even creating it. None of the businesses or individuals have ever been located, however their connection to the appearances of altered items and objects of power is too direct to be considered circumstantial. An arrest order has been issued for any persons believed to be involved with the Blessed Organization. 1, 2, 3.
Do we know each other? This feels familiar. I can't seem to... I've forgotten it. I'm sorry. My name is Alan Wake. Who are you? Who are you? Do I know you?
I'm your friend Tom. Tom Zane.
What?
There's nothing to worry about.
Tom. The poet. The diver. You look different.
That was just a role. A character. The protagonist I played in my old film. I'm a filmmaker. An auteur like yourself. We're working on this together, remember? An artistic collaboration. You need a drink.
Endless darkness. Nothing holds still.
But we're very close now. You've been writing. You found a way to escape. It'll work this time.
Writing?
You found a way!
No. I don't... Wait. There's something. It's my double. He's out there. I've seen him.
Yeah. Nothing to worry about. I'm dealing with it. It's fine, my friend. Let me handle him.
You've met him? What the hell?
Now, come on. You misunderstand me.
That was Alan Wake, the writer who went missing in that AWE case I read about. What's he doing here?
Am I going to stream Alan Wake?
Zane was with him.
Oh.
The poet. No, wait. He was a filmmaker. I always remember that wrong.
What? I don't... Wait, he was a filmmaker. I always remember that wrong. But that's... No. Zane was a poet, though. Oh, God. Oh, no. Everything's getting fucked up, and that's the point. Oh, God. Am I going to stream Alan Wake? Maybe. The problem with Alan Wake is that... Oh, sorry, hang on. The problem with the Alan Wake is that you can't get all of the story without playing on the hardest difficulty, because a lot of the story is in the manuscript. I mean, you get the story, but there's a lot of really important, like, backdrop info found in the manuscript, and you find the pages of the manuscript as, like, collectibles throughout the course of the game. You can only get all of the pages of the manuscript on the hardest difficulty. The combat in that game... I do not enjoy the combat in that game. By the time I got to the end of the game, even on, like, normal or easy difficulty or whatever I was playing on, by the end of the game, I was just, like, running past everything because I was so incredibly sick and tired of playing the combat. And, on top of that, there are a couple of sections where the gameplay is just frustrating. So I might play through it, but don't count on it, because I really, really love the story. I think the story for Alan Wake is fantastic. I do not like playing through Alan Wake. Give me a snack? Oh. The general story of Alan Wake, so far as I remember it, just in case you're unfamiliar. Alan Wake is a writer. He goes on a vacation to the town of Bright Falls with his wife. His wife gets taken by some sort of being while they're staying on a cabin on Cauldron Lake. He wakes up sometime after he dives into the lake to try and get his wife, because he saw his wife get taken into the lake. And the cabin on the lake does not exist. And then he starts finding pages of the manuscript, of a manuscript for a book that he's writing, because he's a writer. He went out there to write. Or he went out there for a vacation, but his wife had brought him out there to try and get him writing again, because it had been a while since he had been writing. He was having writer's block, or something like that. So he starts finding pages to a manuscript that he wrote, allegedly. And the pages of the manuscript describe what is happening. So the pages of the manuscript are... The manuscript is the plot of Alan Wake. The collectibles that you find in Alan Wake are the plot of Alan Wake. And over the course of the game, he learns more about the weird bullshit that happens in Bright Falls, just in general. This, like, the kind of reality warping shenanigans that is going on with his manuscript it's not the first time that that's happened. It happened in the past with a poet named Thomas Zane, or a writer named Thomas Zane. And Thomas Zane, he had in order to contain the evil presence, that was like this darkness that was causing all sorts of shadow monsters and killing folks, and in order to contain the darkness, Thomas Zane wrote himself out of the story, which is to say, existence. And he ended up in some sort of nebulous other world. And then, at the end of Alan Wake, Alan himself does a very similar thing. He writes himself out in order to save his wife, who had been taken into the other world by some evil lady that had some sort of connection to Thomas Zane. So, now we've got Zane and Wake both having written themselves out of existence, and now they're in the other world. They're in this spooky TV dimension thing. I say TV dimension for a thing that comes up later. So, there are several DLCs for Alan Wake, and both of the DLCs are Alan trying to find a way out of the other world, and some of it is like Alan coming to terms with the fact that he did indeed write the manuscript. He was not being controlled to write the manuscript. I mean, he was being influenced to write the manuscript, but he had written the manuscript in like some sort of fugue state. It was unclear, like, how exactly, like, when Alan showed up to Bright Falls, when he was writing the manuscript, he was allegedly writing the manuscript while he was trapped in the other world, but how did he do that? How were the pages going back in time, or whatever? TV Dimension has you thinking Persona 4. Yeah, kinda. So Alan ends up in the other dimension, and the DLCs are him trying to escape. And then you get the standalone DLC, which is American Nightmare. And American Nightmare is where the TV world thing really comes into play. Alan is trapped in a TV show, and the TV show is like, it's kind of a Groundhog Day situation where he's playing through the same episode of the show over and over in order to try and stop. Oh god, I don't remember the guy's name. Mr. something. There was a dude, a villain, and what the villain was trying to do was he was trying to replace Alan Wake in the real world with a doppelganger that would do evil bullshit. And there's a sweet concert fight with the old gods of Asgard. Yeah, there's a fight in Alan Wake with you fight on a stage and use pyrotechnics to fight the shadows because the shadows are weak to light. It's a really cool fight. There's a couple of really cool moments in terms of the gameplay, but the important stuff is the plot. So eventually, Alan does defeat the dude that's trying to replace Alan with the doppelganger, and that did not free him from the other world. So he was still trapped in the other world, and now we get to here, where almost a decade later, Alan is still trapped in the spooky other world, trying to escape. And also, throughout the course of the game, in Alan Wake, I'm not going to do it in this room because the TV static is really loud. Throughout the course of the game in Alan Wake, on TVs found throughout the world, he sees himself, like, rambling to himself about the manuscript, and, like, as he's writing the manuscript, so he sees himself during the time that he was writing the manuscript. but during that time he was trapped in the lodge, kind of. Lodge. I'm just getting it mixed up with Twin Peaks now. He was trapped in the spooky world. If the evil tractor escaped from there, that's worrying. Yeah. Alright, so TV. Oh, actually, I need to take a quick washroom break, so feel free to educate yourselves a little more on the actual plot of Alan Wake, and I will be back in a few minutes. I return! And also, I am reminded that the Undertale 5th anniversary concert stream starts in like 15 minutes, which is... Whoops! Time really flies, huh? So I'm not entirely sure what to do about that. Food break during the performance? It's going to be like a 2-hour performance. I can't take a 2-hour food break. Food break for 2 hours. Oh boy. Cut the stream early. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. So, as soon as I find a decent break point here... Oh. Oh no, it's dark and spooky.
Dr. Emil Hartman, devoured by hungry darkness, became the thing that had been Hartman. Broke loose, killed everyone it could, lurking, roaming, waiting. Then something else came. A resonance. The thing that had been Hartman went through another change.
Okay, well I do need to know more about that. Alright, give me the full one there, Wake.
Dr. Emil Hartman was desperate. The Federal Bureau of Control had stolen his life's work. This was his last chance, his final experiment. What he'd been too scared to do before. Hartman dove into the lake, was taken, devoured by hungry darkness, became the thing that had been Hartman. Only an echo of him remained, fragmented impulses on autoplay, violent, bloodthirsty darkness in the driver's seat. Emerging from the lake, the thing was captured by the FBC, brought in, contained, studied. The thing broke loose, killed everyone it could. The FBC fell back and sealed the sector. The thing was alone in the dark, lurking, roaming, waiting. Then something else came. Not darkness, but similar enough. A sound. A resonance. It shouldn't be a surprise. If there's one, why not another? The darkness inside the thing could have been immune, could have resisted, fought, could have been passed by, passed through with no effect. But it didn't, and it wasn't. Maybe it had grown weaker over time, not aged. It was timeless, but weaker with no link to its source. A metamorphosis followed. The thing that had been Hartman went through another change.
So Hartman turned himself into a shadow creature. Oh. That symbol... Oh, that was the symbol that was mentioned in one of the town disappearances. Oh. I didn't notice that before. The full black triangle overhead, the empty white triangle from below. And then the two connect. And then there's the transfer and everything. And there's Wake Store. I don't know what's up with this one. That's where they hide all the copyrighted materials. Actual Persona Shadow, a little bit. So... Okay. Let's do a little investigating. Oh yeah, I can totally make it over there with hover. Okay. I was just wondering if there would be like some sort of context event from me looking at that. Okay. I want to watch the Undertale thing. I've been going for 3.5 hours. That's like half the time that I usually go. And it's hard to say, especially with how much I enjoy Control, but I do want to watch the Undertale thing. So I'm probably going to cut the stream... Whoa! There's the rank 6 things. I didn't even know. Anything to the sides? Sure. We'll take a look at that. More fire breaks. Oh! More than more fire breaks. I see. Alright. Well. There's the balance from yesterday. I didn't go that long yesterday. Yeah, that's a different bad orb. So many Borbs around here. Plenty to investigate next time I stream this. So I may just stream tomorrow anyways, because I really want to get deeper into this Alan Wake DLC shenanigans. This seems I've been gripped. I've been held. Because Thursday, well, maybe I'll split Thursday up between Magic and more Control? Maybe. I don't know. Hey, here's your homework for everyone, including me. Look up the plot for Alan Wake. It'll probably help understand what's going on. Because I also need a refresher on a lot of that stuff myself. Anyways, homework, yeah, I know. Terrifying in concept. Magic the Controlling, yeah. Alright, so, maybe more Control tomorrow. If not, no stream tomorrow, and then Magic and maybe Control on Thursday? I don't know. I want to play more Control this week. So, I know that yesterday I had mentioned I'm probably taking Wednesday off, but I'm probably going to play Control tomorrow. Because it's just fucking rad, dude. I oopsed into the Alan Wake DLC. You didn't say it like, blows up! Yeah, you're right. Homework! They would have that kind of character saying, total kids show line right there. Anyways, yeah, probably more Control tomorrow, and then, Magic and maybe Control on Thursday, and then more Deadly Premonition 2 on Saturday. Oh yeah, thank you for linking the Discord. You can come hang out, chill. It's a cool place, and they say it gets colder. It's 18 plus because I don't want to have to deal with youngins, not because there's porno everywhere. Don't worry about it, it's cool. But yeah, thank you guys so very much for showing up and hanging out and chatting. If you want to know what I'm going to be up to and the reason why I am ending the stream a little early tonight, I'm posting a link to the Undertale 5th anniversary concert performance thingy that's being put on tonight. That's being put on in like 5 minutes, actually, so that's what I'll be up to. Whatever you guys are up to for the rest of your night, I hope you enjoy it, and hopefully I will see you either tomorrow or Thursday. We'll see.